Hey, so what we're going to do here is I just want to give you an overview of one of the assignments, which is a closer look at a tier one source. Now that tier one language, hopefully you make the connection that it comes from previous assignment in chapter 4 of writing in college. So you're taking that information and you're applying it to this one. So it's a closer look at a tier one. So for this, basically what happens is I provide you with the tier one source. You click on the PDF, you open that up. And sometimes this takes a little while. So you open that piece up, you kind of take a look at it and you find some of the key information. And what I should say off the bat is for this format, 1 through 9, is the same format that the exam questions will be. You'll get different questions for that. I mean, sorry, not different questions, different sources for that, but you'll be applying the same questions. So you'll see these more than once is basically what I'm trying to get at here. So it's worth understanding what they're getting at. So you have the specific questions. I've highlighted them. So it says fill in all the highlighted information. So I've even numbered them for this particular one. You got to put the author, the title, the container, which is the publication website or the journal title for this particular source, and the publication date. All of that information can be found just by sort of a pretty good scanning of the text. A lot of times it could be on the first page. Identify the type of source. Well, by the title of the assignment, you can figure out that it's a tier one source. And yeah, so you go from there. Now you should also then be able to answer, so who is the audience? Describe the typical reader. You'll need to do a little bit of background information or thinking about the actual publication, who, based on your knowledge of how these publications work, what you read about in the writing in college chapter, what, you know, who the audience would be for that particular journal, you could say. Then question 7 is list the author or author's name, title, position, education. So basically some info on the author here. And try to answer the question, what does this information tell you about how the author may approach the topic and about the author's credibility? Now, hopefully, if you're paying attention, this question and actually the previous one has been on, I think, all of the pre-reading charts and questions that we've had for the course. This should be nothing new. You should just almost be sort of second nature to you to ask these questions. Who's the author? What can I then expect from this? And that's similar to the above question too. Now, question 9 is a bit different, and we'll probably get into this a little bit more with different sources. But the idea is, would this be something that would be useful for a college level paper? Now, if it's a tier 1 source, your response generally should be yes, and then be able to sort of explain why is a tier 1 source or this particular source useful. This question becomes more interesting when it's sort of not tier 1 sources that may or may not be considered particularly useful. And that's where some of the more interesting answers will be. And you'll see some of that on the exam. So you go through this, you can type your answers in or however you want to do this. And then for this particular assignment, you won't see these questions on the future assignment or the exam. But for this particular one, I want you to pay attention to these questions and to answer these ones. And as I say here, most important information can be found in the abstract. So you should be able to read the abstract of the article and get this information and be able to explain this information here. And just in case you're missing this, this all ties together in the sense that your upcoming paper is related to this topic as well. So, right, this is helping you prepare for the exam. It's helping you build some sources for the paper, and it's helping you just understand how to look at sources sort of in the college and academic setting. Now, one last thing is that I did include a sample response here for a different article, so you can kind of see how that would look. I put my sample responses here. I didn't do it for the last set of questions, but I did do it for the other one. Because one reason is because the last set of questions doesn't really apply if it's not an academic article. All right, so that's just a brief overview of this assignment. And yeah, fill this out and yeah, and also ask questions if you're struggling with some of the what some of these things are asking for, because these questions will continue to come up.